Wonderful. So we are going to record from here. I'm going forward to share out with that. And so I'm going to go ahead and click got it on my screen and end. Let me just double check. We did all of our introductions, correct? I always like double checking, I think, as I look through. Yes, brilliant. All right, Liz, did you want to share a little bit more kind of around the purpose or anything else you might want to share? Otherwise, I want to start kind of priming us for our exercise and get us going. But anything else that you wanted to mention or share about us, kind of why we're kind of coming together?
Yeah, thanks, Amy. I really do. I think that there's been a lot of listening and learning that we've done, particularly over the last 18 months around topics of social justice and equity. And it's time. I think that there are many areas that are activating and putting on great programs. I think taking the time to stop, put pause, be strategic, and think about the ways that we as individuals are incorporating equity and an equity mindset into the work that we do is an opportunity and maybe even a gift. So you're welcome. Just kidding. But I think having Amy here is a gift for sure. But just to make space for that and to give yourself the room to be thoughtful and mindful about the ways that we're centering equity in the work that we do is just a good reminder. And so I think Amy, take it away. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Oh, I really appreciate about that purpose. So, folks, we are here on, really focusing on you as an individual. And in your introductions, there are some big things that you all are going to be engaging with, major projects and responsibilities that are coming up. And so, with this session, let's strategically plan how you're kind of going to get there, right? That what you are sharing a little bit may be really surrounding your goals and goal setting when we actually engage with our document resource today. So let me just do a little bit of priming for our exercises that we'll be engaging. Just know you're going to be doing a little bit of individual work. I'm going to take us through a visioning exercise here in just a moment, and you'll have that opportunity just to take your own notes, right? Really kind of think for yourself. And then we're going to engage you with actually a learning partner. You're going to go into a breakout room and actually work on 3 sections of your development and action plan as well. Kind of talk through your goals, right? Your strategies. What actions are you going to now take, right? And what about accountability to kind of help you along the way as well. And then we're going to have these large group kind of discussions and just check-ins here and there. And just know our time is going to go really, really quickly. So, I'm going to move us along. So with that, please do, I invite you, channel your growth mindset, lean into your learning edge, right? Feel that discomfort that you might experience, that vulnerability, right? That call to be a bit courageous. And as Susan David talks about, right, around emotional agility, in those moments, right, with those emotions that might be coming up when you are stretched, right? Especially the idea of, oh, I have to like work with a learning partner and share about what I'm doing and kind of fumble through this. Emotions may be coming up for you. So Susan David would say, hey, what is this emotion telling me, right? And what is this emotion telling me about what is important here, right? So lean into it, okay? Also, kind of Vegas rules, what's said here, let's keep it here, unless you get permission, right? But what's learned here, take it and apply it. You all are going to get an actual document, an action plan, a tool today. Use it, share it, modify it, right? Make it your own in a sense. I really invite that. Also, just recognize we're all, participating, engaging in this experience, coming from different backgrounds, cultures, identities, expectations, experiences, right? Even our exposure around diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice work too. So expect differences as we're engaging as well. Okay, with that, those are kind of my priming. Anything else? I want to invite any of you to share any comments or questions before we go ahead and get started. Let me just check in. Anything else you need? Otherwise, we're rolling, folks. Thanks, Elizabeth. Love your thumbs up. I'm doing my education count to myself. Brilliant. Okay, well, here we go then. I'm going to give you a quick overview of the document that we will be working on today and working through. And I'm going to actually then take you through this experience and exercise as well. Okay. So you're going to get a link momentarily here, and I'm going to do this. Something happened to the formatting, I think. I don't know what happened there. It's all over the place. Don't worry, I'll get you the link. It'll be all right. But basically, with regards to this development plan, I'm going to stop sharing and actually move to a different one. No, I'm good. I can adapt. Okay, so this strategic professional and action plan, here are the outcomes. I want you to be able to connect your development, your planning process with your values and motivations. It really needs to be tied to, what is inspiring us? What's our purpose, right? In a sense. I want you to be able to create those development and action goals and those progress indicators as you engage with this tool as well. And then also identify specific action steps, right? And skills you might want to develop in preparation for achieving or engaging those major projects that you have coming up. And then rewards and recognition, right? How are you going to treat and recognize yourself for all that you're doing? That's such an important part of this process. And let's establish some accountability strategies as well. So to begin, what I would love to do, my friends, is in the chat, I'm going to put the link to our document as well. And I'm going to invite you to actually download that document here in just a moment, because I want you to have it tangibly where you can edit, type in it, do what you want. Because I'm going to walk you through this visioning exercise here. Just a moment here. Let's see here. It is right there. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know if this link is working for you, that you have access. What's it like? Thanks, Nicole. Appreciate your thumbs up. Good. More thumbs up. So let's download it. Save it. Whether you want that to be to your drive, if you want to download a copy of it. I originally made it in a Word document. So if you want to go ahead and save it, because I'm going to start walking you through now a bit of our visioning exercise. This is going to prep you for working with your learning partner here momentarily, and get you really grounded and thinking about your priorities. Okay. So could everybody kind of give me a thumbs up when you are ready to go and have that downloaded as well? Thank you. Appreciate it. So you can see I'm a very direct cultural communicator, right? Say what you mean what you say. Nicole and I have a strong Italian family background. That's important to us. So appreciate all the great communication, y'all. All right. So visioning exercise. First and foremost, let's go to that number one question here. And this is something I want you to start kind of writing about, right? Here's your prompts. What does it mean to you to really center historically marginalized communities and equity in your work? Okay. What does that mean to you, right? Why might this centering be important for you, right? Why? And then also for those that you serve. And what I've provided additionally for you as you're thinking about your responses, I'm going to give you a few minutes to respond. I have additional prompts there for you. And I provided a definition of equity to really try to ground us in this context. So take a couple moments. And as we're doing this visioning exercise, I understand if it's helpful for you to, turn off your camera, and kind of just work. But we're going to just take a couple minutes and moments. I want you to reply to that number one on your document. Right. Finish jotting down or typing your last thoughts on this one. About 20 more seconds and we'll move on to number two. All right. Number two is asking you to really start thinking about what are, some knowledge, education, right? Do I need to gain? What skills might I want to develop? How about experiences I really need to gain? What are you really wanting to start prioritizing? Okay. And those follow up questions, as you think of your personal and professional roles, what might really enable you to be more effective, right? As you're thinking of these major projects and initiatives, right? What topics or ideas might you want to explore further? Okay. What challenges are you currently experiencing, especially around inclusion and equity in your work? So, here, let's start prioritizing a little bit. What knowledge, skills, and experiences are you really interested in prioritizing? So let's take a few moments individually, capture your ideas there. Let's take about 20 more seconds just to wrap up your idea right now. We're going to move on to number three. All right. This number three actually speaks to inclusive leadership literature because what is oftentimes found is when folks are talking about inclusion and equity work and practices, they're oftentimes able to, vulnerable with their vulnerability, authenticity, explain why this work, why inclusion and equity is so important to them, their own personal values, and make that connection. So I would like to invite you to think about that a little bit more as you're thinking of your authenticity, your professional identity, right, within your role, what values and beliefs of your own are really motivating and guiding your inclusion and equity practice and why? Let's take a few moments to respond to that. All right, I just want to introduce you to number 4 because we'll come back together at 45 after the hour. So continue working on 3 if you would like. And I also want to invite you to think about number 4. In what context do you best learn, right? That is really working for you, the places and spaces you want to kind of gain new education, exposure, experiences, and also where might you envision trying out this new knowledge and skills, right? Where do you want to take action? And why. So I want to give you another couple of moments just to respond to 3 and 4, and then we'll come back together. All right, let's go ahead and welcome you back. Let's just pause and take a moment. I'd love to hear any reflections or thoughts or reactions. Let's think meta, big picture. And how was that experience for you, right? And or why might this have been a meaningful kind of process as we think of strategic planning, especially for ourselves? Talk to me a little bit. Share a little bit about how was that experience?
Well, I don't think we can develop strategic plans or like point our office or work in a direction until we really understand what drives us on a daily basis. So every time I've gone through strategic planning, whether that's been at work or like even personally, it's one of the first steps is creating that vision and understanding how you can align yourself with your work. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I saw this activity doing.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Absolutely. Who else wants to build off of that great start? Anything else as far as the how meaningful, the motivation, kind of the why?
I'm feeling needled to do something that I've maybe resisted. Like I know what needs to happen. And now through this, there's kind of a, okay, that all signs are pointing that I'm right, that I need to do the thing that maybe feels um challenging or I'm nervous to do. And now I just need to do it. So along that line of like, what are my I know what I want. And now here I have to actually do it.
Mm. See, so it's kind of unlocking a little bit or kind of encouraging you towards that action a bit more as well. You're kind of getting a little bit more clear as to why this might be important, especially now. That's great. Anyone else want to share around that experience?
I'll chime in. So for me, it's it is that self-reflection. It's learning a little bit more about yourself to prepare you for the work. But it also brings up a lot of questions for me about more of how the top down, how higher ups are thinking to process it, because one department can have a great strategic plan, but if it doesn't align with the rest of the university, it's very difficult, right? So it brings me back to like, okay, well, what's happening at the top?
Absolutely. And so this has gotten you thinking about what else might I need to do. So even thinking about your action steps too, as well. Might there be conversations and check-ins, right? Might I need to know more context, strategies that are already occurring? How are we in alignment, right, within that realm? And I always recommend folks, when I'm doing strategic planning, for example, on our campus at CU Boulder, we use our strategic plan, our DEI strategic plan for the campus as part of generating your goals, right? And your tactics. It really needs to serve and be in alignment, because here's why. When folks are going to get resources, right, or kind of getting the campus excited about things, if you're in alignment and you can speak to the work of the campus, you're more likely to have greater collaborations with others, more opportunities and resources may be provided at the campus level that you don't have to recreate the wheel, right? You can kind of connect with those initiatives as well. And again, you're not necessarily having to then create an entire infrastructure even around assessment, right? So for example, our campus just went through a comprehensive culture climate survey that is absolutely tied. This is our baseline for our new strategic plan for the campus, right? And so that assessment and cycle is already built in. You'll already be able to get that data. You can work on what are we going to do about that data, right? More of that action, not creating all of the infrastructure to then take the action, right? So important. Thank you so much for bringing up that alignment and whom you might need to kind of engage and, and think about when you are taking action as well. Well, great work, folks. We're now going to transition and start getting you into actually engaging with your learning partner and working through the next few sections as well. So let me just introduce those. And I know that Samuel and Liz will kind of help us out and get our breakout rooms ready here. But here's where you get to be a little bit more specific. So you now are going to be asked to focus on the goal setting component, the action planning, and then your accountability segment. So it's pages 2, 3, and the top of 4. So here it's really, hey, create 1 to 2 goals for you in your development, in your preparation for the major projects or initiatives that you're about to do, right? Think about your goals too, in a sense of what is it you want to accomplish, right? And if you accomplish this, you would feel that you'd be more effective, right? In kind of pursuing and creating that strategic plan for your, group or organization, right? Or starting that initiative around DEI in kind of your local area, right? So that's what you're going to work on together, really process and talk through it. And of course, I've provided a bit of guidance around that SMART goal, and you can really identify 1 to 2, because part of, strategic planning, I really want you to be able to see this all the way through. So we're not going to take on the world. Let's just get really specific, right? And you're going to talk about your progress indicators. What are you envisioning your future self will be doing more of, less of, what might be easier? What are indicators that you're making progress towards achieving the goals that you've identified and outlined? So it'll be really important to map those out as well. Next, start talking about and brainstorming together some action steps, right? Thinking about those resources and support, right? And Laura, you were bringing up as well, in general, there might be other support from leadership or knowledge that we need to have to kind of help me along, right? Or important aspects of achieving this goal. It's not just on me, right? Any barriers or obstacles, talk through those. Talk about any role models that you've recognize the behavior, skills, and abilities in others that you might want to consider or think about. And then start outlining your initial steps. What are you doing, to really work towards those goals? And then the final component is around accountability. I do want to invite you to consider, as you are meeting together and working through this segment, you might want to be kind of accountability partners. You may want to exchange information and decide, hey, can we connect, in the future to kind of check in to see how we're doing around this plan, right? Completing the plan, starting to put it into practice as well. So I definitely want to encourage you to do that as well. And so again, this is going to be your opportunity to connect with another person to work through, again, those first 3 sections. I am going to kind of pop in and out, just check in, kind of join the conversation if you'd like, and any questions that might come up or you want to process. And I think this is going to enable you now in this smaller setting to really personalize your strategic planning, what makes sense for your context and what you're needing now. But before we send you in there, I want to check in. What questions do you have? Anything you're wondering? Did I explain it so well? You're like, I got it. We're good. All right. Well, hey, like I said, I'm going to be joining. I'll jump in. We're going to have until 15 after the hour for you to really kind of connect and start working through those segments, and then we'll come back as well. And so let me know your questions when I join your group. Otherwise, really enjoy this, and channel your authenticity. Really make this your own as well. So I look forward to connecting you in smaller groups, and so we can go ahead and send folks whenever you're ready. Welcome back, everyone. I bet you're kind of feeling like, hey, that was not enough time, right? I wanted more time to digest. I would just love to hear kind of from each group, kind of where'd your conversation go, right? How did this guide kind of help you in that conversation? What's next for you? So if we could just hear a little bit about your conversation, big picture, what you're thinking and kind of what's next, that would be really fantastic. And let's see here. Oh, wonderful. So Michael, I won't call on you, and I think it was Cameron together too, but who'd like to share first? Otherwise I can just kind of randomly call on groups too, if that's helpful. Anybody want to share?
I'll jump in.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
And so
Yeah.
we kind of took several different turns and had more like higher level conversations. But I shared kind of more of like my personal, I was looking more of the personal goals that is going to help with my job. So they're more professional development goals versus the strategic planning. And then Bika talked about like her her work with the student organizations and how like having this, we talked about having maybe a couple structured questions or sections of structured questions, because, as conversations with students go, they just go all over the place and you end up going, oh, I missed what we were supposed to be talking about. And so, but just kind of utilizing those techniques into and integrating them into our like our everyday avenue. I don't know if I missed something. Go ahead and chime in.
Oh, that's excellent. Way to utilize that. That's exactly that. The great thing about this tool is you can focus on your own, professional development. What am I wanting to be doing? And really tie it, just like Bika is doing, to a specific environment, right? With certain students or getting into those action steps, right? Like you're identifying some questions and structure for those conversations. So, oh, great job. Really appreciate you. All right, who would like to share next?
I can share for Mike and I.
Oh, great.
So we definitely found some kind of correlations between our 2 separate spaces, and looking at like one of the things Mike talked about specifically was, students students being involved in PSEO and they're being taught by predominantly white teachers. So that, we're not necessarily having students enter the profession who come from diverse backgrounds, and talking about not only is it recruiting more teachers at that higher level, but it's also getting students interested in the profession to begin with, students that never thought about it before. And that kind of went back to nursing as well as, there's a lot of distrust in the healthcare field, especially from marginalized groups that have experienced horrific things throughout history. So it should be, it's getting students interested in nursing and getting them out there so that people are, when they're going for healthcare, they're getting service from someone who's from their same community that understands the struggles that they face. So we kind of talked about those kind of correlations that we found in our spaces and just kind of looked at different ways of, how can we improve our separate programs and make that possible. I don't know if Mike, you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, no, I walked in and heard my name, so my ears are burning. But no, it was really interesting, the conversation that Cameron and I had, because it does seem to be like there's a lot of overlap. There's like she mentions, there's some distrust from the students that we work with and with the industries and the areas that we're trying to promote. I am one of the goals that we have, and I think Cameron alluded to this, is we're working with our College of Education to try to encourage more students of color to become teachers. And we have 98% of the teachers in K-12 right now are white. And we know, yeah, it's bad, at least in Minnesota. And right, what is it? 30% of our students in K-12 right now are students of color, and that number is obviously expected to continue to grow. But what we're running into is students don't see themselves as teachers because they don't have a role model in front of them on a daily basis. So we're working with our College of Ed to try to develop some programs there, but it's just been a challenge to find willing partners in the community and partners on campus to start that already have those relationships and have that trust with those community members. Me coming in as a white male trying to speak to these groups doesn't have as much weight as someone that they can connect with and feel like might understand them a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that. So what you all are cultivating is that collaboration and even utilizing cultural bridges, likely, so other campus partners that can help you have greater access and connection, and really help informing, hey, what do we need to do about our culture and environment, right? Because if we're increasing diversity and folks coming in from various backgrounds, how are we preparing to enable folks to really thrive, feel included, that sense of belonging, right? Kind of that dual connection, right, of that retention as well as recruitment really need to come together too. So excellent conversation. Really appreciate that. And with regards to time, folks, I invite anyone else that would like to share kind of how your conversation went. If you want to kind of pop your reflections, any other things or ahas that came up, feel free to put those in the chat as well. And I want to engage you in one final exercise, and this is captured in your guide as well, so feel free to utilize this. Like I said, go and utilize these exercises and practices. I would love for you to open up kind of another document, especially if you're kind of typing, or if you're kind of handwriting, just go to a fresh page. And I would like you to write we're just going to take 2 minutes here. I want you to write a letter to your future self. Think about yourself after making progress, achieving some of those goals, right, or actions that you have been kind of coming to mind as we've had our time together. And so I would like you to respond to a few different prompts. And I'm going to kind of put those here in the chat to kind of guide us a little bit. And feel free, of course, add on as well. But, in this letter to yourself, show some gratitude and appreciation for your dedication, right? That energy, intentionality of really engaging in that development and taking action, right? Thank your future self for that. And then also, what are you hoping this development or action really means for your future self? What are you hoping is happening or going on for your future self there? And then anything you want yourself, that future self, what do you want yourself to remember about this moment right now? Feelings, thoughts, ideas. Let's just take a couple minutes and write that letter to your future self. All right, capture that last thought that you're writing down. All right, continue working on those letters. Tuck that away, bring that out at a set time, if you will, right? And kind of look back on that. You might really appreciate, what um, yourself right now is really thinking, and kind of shifting that perspective. So we need to start closing out now. We are down to our final minutes together. I told you time would fly. The great thing is we will have an opportunity to come back together. There will be a part 2, and you all get to help kind of design, right, what that experience might be. Where do we go from here? And so we're going to give you a link to an evaluation for you to share some feedback and thoughts. Give us your ideas. Also, when your availability might work best for the session in January, for example. And I need to stress, please complete your plan. Spend that time, really working through it. Start taking those actions and getting feedback on how it's going. Would love to hear how your progress is going when we do come back together as well. And think about staying in touch, and really connecting with your learning partner. You may already, again, some of you do know each other. So maybe you schedule a time to really connect, between now and that next session, just to check in and see how you're doing around completing your plan. With that, I want to thank you all so very much. I can open it up for questions as well. Any other logistics, Liz or Samuel, that we need to kind of mention right now? Otherwise, I'm more than willing to open up for comments and questions.
Samuel and I are working on finalizing our spring semester schedule for the Diversity Institute. And I think that this will be a really good launching point for folks when we reconnect with Amy. So do please take the survey. We're hoping to get some helpful information for planning purposes, but also as a way to kind of get a sense of what you've taken away with you from this session. Amy, it's always a pleasure and we're so grateful. We'll certainly stick for questions for a moment, but thank you for joining us and helping us out. And I'm excited for all of the initiatives and planning going on across campus. It's fun to check in when we don't always get to see that with one another. So thank you.
Wonderful. All right, folks, what questions, comments? What else? How should we close out? What are you thinking?
I just appreciate how happy you are, Amy.
It's totally feeding off of you all. I'm like, oh, I loved, kind of listening in. So thank you all for letting me kind of come around. But your conversation and just connection and just being so open, it helps me have so much energy. So appreciate that, Michael. Great. And thanks for your participation too. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Other folks, questions, comments? How you feeling? How'd it go?
Elizabeth shared in the comments. I
Oh.
just wanted to, that it's really helpful. Like connection is the pathway to progress. And I wanted to make sure everybody heard that.
Oh, that is beautiful. So well said. And just know in a lot of this work, like I mentioned, even with that group that I was doing strategic planning, I'm working with multiple. That is something that was foundational. We had to develop that trust, relationship, community for the group to even work together, right? And to plan, to identify the issues, for example. So brilliant.
I also appreciate the quote by Adam Grant. I recently discovered Adam and I cannot get enough
Agreed.
information. So if you haven't checked out their LinkedIn, it's a great resource to connect with Adam. He's got some really good, just uplifting, like wow moments. So if you need an uplifter, check out at least his LinkedIn.
Absolutely. Organizational psychologist, has an Instagram account, Facebook, right? TED Talk, podcasts, Excellent person. Yeah. Because they're really leaning into how can we continue to learn and grow and kind of break through that sense of wanting to like be more fixed in your mindset. It's like ongoing, like having a malleable kind of growth ongoing, and wants to make work like better and fun. Oh, I'm so glad you do too. So yeah, that really resonates. And you can see I even built in the plan, put your own motivational quotes, what's really speaking to you. Bring in your authenticity, you know, make these plans your own as well. It's great. Oh, I love that. Yes, Michael. Collaboration. That's so key. Reach out, stay connected, right? I can't wait to hear when we do come back together in January. That'll be great. Anything else, folks? Other questions, comments, anything else that you're, need to bring into the space before we go? I might have heard from everyone in the chat and then on the mic as well. All right. Well, I can hang around for a moment or two as folks are dropping off because I know some may want to have more, closer one-to-one conversations. But again, thank you all so very much for this opportunity, inviting me in, to your lives and connecting during this time. I had a great time. It's going to be hard to say goodbye, but hey, come back in January, fill out that survey, let us know any other ideas, and you all take good care. Thank you for everything you're doing. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amy.